I once again request everyone to please come back to their seats. We are ready for the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting the next session. Those of you who are still outside, please come back to your seats. I'm sure all of you enjoyed your tea and coffee. It's needless to say, when we say Hall of Fame, that means it has to be filled with people who are very famous, whose contributions are making the industry flourish. And when we say it's 2.0, that means it has to be better than the last edition. Don't worry, we have taken care of both of it. The session that we are starting is an open house session with the investors. No, that's not the right way to put it. Open house with the investors. Well, this is going to be a dream come true for most of you who have been trying to look at the right perspective of how to approach an investor and what are they trying to find in you. For this session, we have Shri Himanshu Goyal, Shri Hari Balasubramaniam, Shri Sridhar Ralabandi, and Shri Arijit Bhattacharya as the esteemed panelists, and the moderator is a superstar of our family, founder, booking genie, and proud member of TiE Bhubaneswar, Shri Sibashish Mishra. May I request the members of this session to please join us on stage, the esteemed panelists and the moderator. Can we have a round of applause for all of them? Everyone. It's a tradition of TiE to welcome special dignitaries in special way. So may I request volunteers to please present bouquets of fresh flowers to the esteemed panelists and the moderator, please. We would like to thank all the panelists for joining us at Hall of Fame 2.0. We are looking forward to hear their experiences, thoughts, and insightful ideas.
Hello.
May I request the moderator to please start the proceedings for this open house session.
Thank you. Thank you, Sulagna. A very good morning to all of you. So I think this would be a supercharged session because all our investors are here with checks, right? They really have checks with them today. And I'm sure after this discussion that we have today, you can really pitch your products and may the best startup get some checks from them. All right, a big round of applause for our investors. So I think I would start with a introduction like normally in any startup investor forum, we don't introduce investors. So it's up to you guys. I'll start with Himanshu. So just to give you a quick perspective of what this value of these three investors are today, like when I counted all the investment that they have done on startups, so it came to more than 130 startups. So it's Hari has done a more than 100 startups angel investment in 100 startups. He will himself talk about a lot of successful startups that he has invested and exited also. Like Himanshu has almost 20 startups he has invested, and Sridhar almost more than 10 startups. So they all understand various industries. They have niche on, sweet spots on some industry, but most of them are sector agnostic, and they will tell their stories and how they pick up startups and which have been very successful. So over to you, Himanshu. A quick round of introduction yourself, and then we will get into.
So very quickly, my name is Himanshu Goyal. I'm an engineer by education. Worked for companies like IBM, Microsoft, Cisco over the last 35 years now. I started my career in '89 in a startup, and I was with them till they went all the way up to IPO, and then some more, and then moved to these large companies. Started my angel investment journey in 2019, very recently. Got excited and went up all the way up to 20 startups so far. And I think the journey is just starting. Quick one.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to make a few statements about Startup Odisha and the TiE Bhubaneswar. I was witness to TiE Bhubaneswar getting formed a long time ago, and it has been a humongous effort. So I would like to congratulate TiE for organizing this event. I know how hard it is to put this event together. So first of all, I would like to congratulate all of you for this great job of putting this together. I would also like to, congratulate the government of Odisha, because Startup Odisha is something which has actually created a lot of momentum in the country. I'm not just talking about Odisha. Today everybody recognizes that Startup Odisha is coming with a lot of energy and momentum. So I would like to congratulate the government and of course, our STP head, former STP head, Mr. Rai is here. So it's a great find for Startup Odisha, and I think we will hear more about their fund of funds, and we are really enthused with what the government is doing. So yesterday I was at the national competition of startups. I was judging a panel on medical devices and healthcare. And fortunately for me, I was able to see two companies from Odisha who were in that shortlist of finalists. Though they didn't get the award, I was pretty impressed with the type of work which they have done and how Startup Odisha has supported them. So I would like to congratulate all of you for that. I am an entrepreneur primarily, but I've been an angel investor for the last 10 plus years. So I have led deals in various companies, and I run my own syndicate, and I work very closely with innovative founders and help them navigate this lonely journey called entrepreneurship. It's a very tough journey. I would like to congratulate all of you for taking up this journey, because it's really exciting, but at the same time very hard. So I stand with founders who are trying to do hard things and help them on the way. I also invest, and if I invest, I bring my network along with that. I sit in the board of Ivy Cap Ventures, where we have great companies, and I've been very fortunate enough to see them from a concept to becoming unicorn. I also led the deal for Spinny, which is a second-hand car company. So nobody was touching Spinny when I came in, and today Spinny is, resounding success. They are the leaders in second-hand car, this thing. So I have a lot of stories like this about entrepreneurs with whom I worked very closely. I've seen problems, I've seen failures. So I'm more than happy. I'm here only for you. So even after this panel, if anybody wants to talk to me, I'm available for a discussion. That's my introduction. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sridhar Ralabandi. I am from Hyderabad. So I have been an angel investor for the last 6 years. And I have been a banker in the past, where I was lending money to promoters, entrepreneurs, and now I said, let's see how the journey is from the other side of the table. So that's what interested me. Again, my experience is across sectors, not really in fintech, but across sectors, and it's been an interesting journey. stories of resilience from entrepreneurs during COVID, especially. They survived it while everyone else was trying to run away. I think they survived. So here is one survivor, Sibasish. So it's great to see that entrepreneurial spirit, and it comes with a mixed bag, successes, failures, so on and so forth. Hoping to continue with this journey. Thank you and good wishes to all of you. I've seen a few stalls. I think it's impressive to see the energy from the youngsters. So let's see, we will see the rest of the stalls after the panel. Good luck.
Thank you, all of you. And so it's just a heads up for all of you that be prepared with your question, because this is an open forum. So we will take a lot of questions from you. Be prepared. I'll keep on opening this to your questions, and then I'll come back to them also. So after this round of question, again I'm opening up the floor for all of your questions. So I hope mics are there around. Lots of mics are needed around. So my question, Hari, will be what exactly you look at when you are investing? Like there's a company formed, the idea is set, and where exactly you pitch in, and what are the top 3 things that you are looking at in a quote company, rather I can say, where you say, well, let me write the first check?
See, it depends on what stage the founder is coming to you. So if you, for example, I've met so many entrepreneurs who are straight out of college and want to do something. They have an idea and they want to, build that idea or test that idea. So at that stage, you see what is the passion in the entrepreneur to solve the problem and how big the problem is. So you look at the entrepreneur at that time in terms of what is their, the key driving factor. I'll give you one example. A girl came to me just after TiECon in Calcutta in 2014. She was from Indore. She came and said that, we women, when we go to a trial room, when we are shopping, we wear a dress, but we are confused. We immediately want to ask somebody, how is this looking on me? And I think this problem is very common to most women. They are not able to decide after trying out several clothes, which one to buy. So they want some friend or somebody to advise at that time. So they typically take a picture and WhatsApp or send it to somebody and say, hey, how is this looking at me, right? So she wanted to develop an app so that this could be done online and there could be fashion consultants who could advise you when you're buying, right? So this was her idea. I saw that this was a global product because it doesn't need you to talk or write or communicate. So it's all visual, right? So I thought this is a good idea. If it works, it will work globally. You don't need to really do anything for this to work globally. So we said, okay, we will go forward and we will fund you. And we funded. And today, they don't do that same thing, but they do something very different. They are into augmented reality for jewelry and the watch industry and all types of industry. And they're literally market leaders, in this technology. But when they started, it was just the sheer passion of that girl, saying that this is a problem and I want to solve this problem. And that's the reason we invested in her. So
Meghna,
at that stage.
That's Meghna.
Yeah, that's Meghna. Meghna Sarauge of Mirar.com. So that's one example. In some cases, we see that entrepreneurs are very well, researched. They've already done something significant. And, then you look at the market. Is this product going to work in this market, or is there a market for this product? So the entrepreneur is very important. The market in which they are operating, whether it's an emerging market, that's what we see. And the other thing is, if you are an angel investor or if you are an investor, you always look for exit options. So you have to see what is the path for getting an exit. Because you may not be interested in exit, but people who invest behind you, they all want exits, right? So these 3 things are very important when we look at an investment thesis: the founder, the market, and what are the exit options.
Himanshu, I would know from your perspective.
No, I think, I've just been doing it for 3 years, 3-4 years, but I've kind of arrived at the similar hypotheses as Hari. To me, the founder represents everything to begin with. Come to think of it, he's the one who's bringing a solution. He's the guy who's identifying a problem. He's the one who's surviving and thriving in COVID times. anybody else would probably shut shop and say, no money, no market, nobody to sell to, let's close shop. It's the founder which stays resilient and continues to thrive. And that's his choice. He's the one who struggles day in and day out, hiring, firing, looking for funding, finding out the ways to disrupt and make his, company, successful. So for me, while I approach a different route, Hari, but the destination is the same. The first thing is founder for sure. Second is the problem that he's trying to solve, the solution that he's bringing up, and the moat that he's creating around it. There's been times where I've met founders in their pitches and they take 20 minutes to explain the problem and the solution. And the minute it goes beyond 3 minutes, I'm not interested. Because if you can't, explain your problem and the solution in the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, you are in. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, I don't like it. So the problem, the solution, and the moat that you create around it, and how big is the market? Are you solving it for Bhubaneswar, or are you solving it for Orissa, or are you solving it for global? How big is the total addressable market? How big is, the total pie? Whether you get there today, tomorrow, or day after doesn't matter. But is it applicable globally, or at least India-wide, if not globally? I mean, I'm sure, samosas can't be sold in Europe, but, samosas can be sold across the country. So to me, the market size, and of course, as Hari said, exit options. If I don't see a path to exit at some point in time, whether it is 2 years or 5 years or 7 years, that's a dampener too. You like to stay away from it. So the founder, the market, the solution, and of course the exit option. As an investor, you do need to make some money in the end. So I kind of echo what Hari said. It's just that I have kind of reached the same conclusion, sort of in a different way.
Sridhar, your 2 points.
Yeah, I think mostly agree with what they say, but each investor looks at things from his own eyes. And I met Hari only yesterday. If I had met him 6 years ago, some of my investment decisions would have been different. So sometimes you see great passion in a promoter, great passion and a drive to get it. It might be something that's very appealing, but does it make money? Now, one of my first investments failed this test. We subsequently tried to revive it, but then that is where we found that I think it was Mr. Rai who was mentioning this at the podium, that, or Mr. Patnaik, I think he was saying that what TiE believes in is to have a team. It's not like you want to do everything, right? Now, this promoter wants to do everything by herself, which was a recipe for disaster from day one, but we've not been able to change her mind. So she's very passionate, but also very stubborn. So if you're not going to listen to reason and can't change, then you have a problem. That's one lesson for me as an investor and for the promoter as well.
Thank you. So at this point in time, I'll open the house for at least 4 questions. But before that, I want to tell you that in this particular hall, these are not the only 3 investors that we have. I think I'll start with Sunil Taneja, who has been investing with a lot of companies. Then I have Debesh here, Aishkant, another, Tapan sir also is here. So they're with lot of wisdom in terms of managing their own business. They understand the nuances of a startup and how they can mentor you also. So they are also there. So some of the questions I might redirect to them also as well. They are, because of space we couldn't accommodate them here. But yeah, they are more kind of seasoned from a global perspective, Indian pan-India perspective. So we thought they should be in the panel because we met them, meet our own investors always. So just for your knowledge, I want to share that on the front line, we see at least 6 or 7 angel investors already from Bhubaneswar who have invested money in various startups. So can I have the first question for the investors? Yeah. Go ahead, please. If you grab a mic, then we can start. So it should be a question. We will not encourage discussions here. It should be a question, and discussions we can take offline once the.
Yeah, sir. Very good afternoon. This is Kishore Sutar, Director Dharitri Udyan Private Limited. This is a startup registered company, registered under Startup India and Startup Odisha also. Sir, we are working in smart agriculture, basically into floriculture. Actually, I had launched orchid cultivation in Odisha in late 2012. Now, actually, you know very well, we are importing orchid saplings from Thailand. But the same atmosphere having in Odisha, tropical and humid climate, and there is a huge opportunity for orchid cultivation in the coastal part of Odisha. You know, we have around installed 50-acre orchid in Baleswar, Bhadrak, and in also nearby Cuttack and Khurda also. So, our turnover, we are having a consulting company, and this one, it is in more than 1 crore. So, being a startup company, so I would like to wish if any investor can invest any fund so that we can have a plant tissue culture lab to produce orchid plants, because we have very good experienced scientists in our team. They can produce orchid saplings, also anthurium samplings. But we do not have
your
much
question is
fund.
whether somebody can invest in your company, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
just
sir.
a clarification: 1 crore turnover per year.
Yeah, current turnover is 1
Yeah,
crore.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Over to you guys. Anybody want?
See, orchids, I'm not saying orchids cannot grow in Odisha, but in India there are much natural places where orchid grows.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have to do anything, it grows on its own. So they have a competitive advantage in terms of producing orchids and distributing orchids. So if you really want to get into this space, I think distribution and sales is what you need to focus on. Once you do that, you can source from anybody. You don't need to take extra trouble to do it in Odisha, though it's very good that you have done it. So the market is very competitive, right? So investment in this space can be from government grants, can be from other development institutions, but private investors will not come in until unless you've got substantial traction.
That is correct, sir. Sir,
No, we will take this offline because let's give a chance to
we
others.
will one question and then we can talk offline. The investors are there throughout the day.
So good afternoon, one and all present here. I'm Sitangshu Mishra, the founder of Job School. The name itself says what kind of work we do. Basically, we are into a platform development where we aggregate, and we make it AI-driven EdTech as well as HR tech platform, and we try to address the problem of unemployment, where it is a major challenge which the Indian youth faces, as well as the companies or corporates across the nation faces, because they don't get the right skillful resources. They don't even get scope to retain them at the right time. So we help them in doing that, developing the team as well as giving them the resource at the right time. So we have been frugal since our inception in 2017. So we have come up with our new venture called Job School, which was a brand under Apogee earlier. So I would like to know that how the investors look at frugal founders, those who have been frugal since the inception, because of the mentor connect or the kind of knowledge they infer from their mentors to remain frugal as much as possible. And now that we want to scale up, we look forward to investors to address how they can take it forward.
See, whether you're frugal or not, that's all up to you, right? Ultimately, if you look at it from an investor's point of view, they want to make money. So if an investor puts 10 rupees, he wants to make 1,000 rupees. He wants 100 times multiple, right? So if you can do that, whether you're frugal or whether you're burning, whether your platform is good, at least that perception should get created for the investors, from the investor's point of view, to make an investment. Now, if you talk about frugality, I just met a couple of days ago this guy called Abhinav Dubey. He's from Chai Sutta Bar. There is a brand called Chai Sutta Bar. He's got 438 outlets in the country, plus he is now opened in Canada, UK and USA also, including Dubai. He sits on 100, 200 crores of cash, not funded. That is what I call as being smart and frugal, right? So he doesn't need any money, right? So they have all been funded by customers. So every entrepreneur should try to get funding from their customers first, and then investors will follow you. So customers are very important. So if you are able to really create jobs for unemployed people, right, they will pay you money. So don't have to bother about investors, because it's a very competitive space. There are hundreds of companies which are doing this in their own way. So ultimately, whoever has got results, they are the people who will be backed. I hope this answers my question.
Absolutely, sir. That is a very short follow-up question, very short one. The main intention of saying frugal was like we have been bootstrapping. That's why we have been, frugal. So
Everybody is bootstrapped. Everybody is bootstrapped. So don't think that you are an exception.
absolutely, sir. So,
Okay, thanks. Ned, can we get to the next? I mean, they
Thank
are
you.
available anyways, as you say. Any other questions? Quick. Yeah, we have questions. Yeah, a lot of hands there.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. And so my question get it very straight. My name is Soni Samal, and I'm the founder of a very focused brand marketing agency by the name of 72 DPI Skills Private Limited. So my question gets like this. What are the 3 things that you see and decide I'm not going to invest in a startup?
Sorry, just to understand your question, you're saying when we talk to a startup, when do we decide not to invest in it?
Correct, sir. Because that's what we all are trying to know.
The
What are the
deters.
criteria, sir?
The deters, basically, I mean, why you will not, like you said,
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah. So I'll speak for myself. As I said in the beginning, if I don't understand the problem and the solution, the moat, the competitive advantage, I won't invest. So that's the first gate. Founder is anyway the first one, right? So if you think the founder is not ready, he or she doesn't have what it takes to run a startup, that's the first gate. The second gate is the market. The third gate for me is if I don't understand the space. For example, I don't understand the orchid space at all, like Hari does, right? So if I don't understand the space, I would not touch it. Irrespective of whether I am able to invest my time and energy and mentor, or that is immaterial. But I need to understand that space. How competitive it is, how what is in for the founder. So, like for example, I could have made a mistake if I had decided to invest in the orchids, and then you have Hari who understood it so well. I would have ended up making a big mistake. So I don't invest in a space where I don't understand. Now, there are times when I personally went and did an investment in the space which I didn't understand, but the founder was so eloquent, so articulate that I felt even though I don't understand this space, I'm comfortable enough to go ahead and invest. So those are the top 3-4 things that come to my mind when I decide I don't want to invest in this. And by the way, that happens in 99% of the times.
Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, sir.
That's a very good question. Takes back to my own experience with that company, which is turning out to be a disaster. But for many times, you're not going to get investors who understand your space. But he's talked about orchids. I don't know about orchids, right? I only know a bit about it. How do you educate the investors is what is very important. Most promoters presume the investor knows. He actually doesn't know. I have gone and invested across sectors, including space, and I don't know anything about space, a satellite company, but I studied a bit, but the promoter was able to explain this. So I think you need to spend the time with investors. You need to figure out whether they are on the same wavelength. If they are not, then you need to spend the time and give the gist of your idea to them so that they are interested to sit with you and understand deeper. Like this elevator pitch of 2 minutes, 30 seconds, It can't be 20 minutes, 15 minutes. By then you've already lost him.
So I just wanted to address it in a different way. See, I've been an entrepreneur myself. So early, when I was early in the angel investing space, I would take decisions purely on instinct. I would look at a founder. If I see that this founder is very good, very charged up, can do something, I would immediately, in 10 minutes time, I would give an investment decision. That is the way I used to operate. Some of them have been very successful and some of them have not. And that's part of the game. So typically in the investment game, if you do 10 investments, normally 1 or 2 are the outliers, which will give you a good return. The balance will all die. Or some of them will just be flat. So what I would say is, see, I don't know anything about the food industry. But says all food thing about food, but I knew about technology. So I knew how technology could help the food industry. Slowly, what started happening is one founder refers you to other founders like this. Today, I've got 15 to 20 food companies where I have led investments. Right? So I'm not an expert even today, but I know the ecosystem. It also depends on who is leading the deal. For example, if he is leading a deal in SaaS, B2B, I would definitely look at that more seriously, even if I don't know that space, because I know him. So in the investment space, a lot of things work because of the person who is leading your deal. So it really, so there are, you can say that 99.99% founders are rejected. It's only the 0.01% who are accepted. In Ivy Cap Venture Fund, where we get more than 1,000, decks probably every 3 months, right? We just invest in 10 companies in a year. So you can imagine that our teams have to go through so many decks before they actually start engaging with the founder. So you can say, take a no before you even approach an investor.
In fact, I was going to ask that question to all of you, that how many decks you actually receive and how do you filter those things? Hi, Arjit. So we have Arijit with us. We'll continue the panel soon after this. So anybody who have tested Wow Momo? No one? Of course, everybody, right? So why I asked you this, Hari actually was the first lead investor in Wow Momo. So had he not invested, I think you would have not have tasted that wonderful Momo. And you look at the wonderful business he has built out of Kolkata.
Not only that, there is a brand from Odisha called Biggie's Burger. I was the lead and first investor of Biggie's Burger, and now they are doing great.
So the last question in this series, like in this particular open house, then I can, yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Santosh Jaina. I'm the co-founder of a startup called Orange Cross Home Health. We are operating in the space of out-of-hospital healthcare solutions. Ours is mostly a brick and mortar kind of business. We hire manpower, we employ nurses who provide out-of-hospital healthcare at home. We are serving to a very niche market, like we provide ICU at home. People who are getting discharged from ICU and still want, active nursing at home. We are in that space. We build ICU at home. We have got a rehabilitation center where neuro rehabilitation happens, cardiac, ortho rehabilitation happens. We have been talking to many investors. Meanwhile, we got our anchor investor very recently. It is a company called GCV. They're based out of Dubai. So we have been discussing with Mumbai Angels for the first round of funding as of now. But what I want to understand from all the investors, so many around here, what is the psyche of an investor when we talk of a very brick and mortar kind of business? Mostly, 95% of the startups which are today who are successful and operating are mostly tech-based. Scalability, people talk of scalability and successful company overnight. But I'm sure everyone will understand that a brick and mortar kind of business takes time. When you are working in a manpower intensive business and when you're talking for a serious business of health, it takes more of quality than scalability. Of course, there's a huge demand of healthcare solutions, out of hospital healthcare solutions. There are very few players like, Nightingales are there, Portias are there. They've been working since the last 5 to 7 years. We are in this business since 4 years. We have sailed successfully, through the COVID, and we have realized that healthcare is so important. I'll tell you, we have 4 verticals. We have tried a hand in tech also. We have developed an app wherein all the primary healthcare services can be ordered like a Zomato, Swiggy. You order food or shop in Amazon and Flipkart. You can order primary healthcare services through an app where a nurse physically goes and delivers the service at your home. Starting from a saline which takes if the doctor has prescribed a saline, it takes 3 hours for the person to go to hospital, get admitted, and get the service done.
So
But
your
we do
question
at
is
home.
that whether a brick and mortar kind
Yes,
of
brick and
business
mortar
attracts
business
investment or not?
Absolutely. And what's like, see, sometimes we create jobs. I have 120 manpower employed in one location. We have recently opened in Bangalore and Vizag, Vishakhapatnam, and we have planned for 15 locations. So this is it. Brick and mortar business. What is the psyche of an investor?
Speaking for myself, if you can explain to us how you can scale pan-India in the next 2 years, right? Or how can you be an Ola, Uber for the nurses, to do the home care solution and scale across the country or maybe neighboring countries, that will be exciting. But if you are dependent, speaking again for myself, if you're dependent on these brick and mortar sort of centers to start developing, mushrooming and covering, to me, the scale is too slow. But if you come and tell me, Himanshu, I'm developing this solution where I'll onboard nurses across the country, and support them in providing home care solution, and they make money and I make money, and I've kind of onboarded 1,000 of them so far, and I have a plan to onboard 15,000 more. I'll be very keen to see what you got.
Yeah, when I started telling brick and mortar, sorry if I may answer this, we have got a vertical of this kind, where we have smart health apps and elder care program subscription base, which can be across India, and it is easy to scale. But the primary business has been, intensive home nursing, where you should be sure of what service you're offering. So Uber and Ola model, where you don't know which is the manpower going, what is the quality of manpower who is handling a patient, it becomes difficult. But yes, we have tech platforms which is scalable across India.
Absolutely. So we will, I think they will definitely meet you after this panel. So Arijit, thanks for joining us, and love
Thank
to
you.
have a quick round of introduction, because we did a self-introduction of all the investors. So definitely all the people here would love to know about you.
Hi, so I don't call myself as an investor. So probably till date I'm an entrepreneur from the core. So I started India's one of the first, am I audible? Yeah, so I started India's one of the first game development company called Virtual Infocom in 1998. And I run an accelerator, a very small fund based out of Australia called Co-Innovate Ventures, which is a partnership acceleration plus investment body. So we usually look for scalable companies who are in the revenue stage and try to help them in a handshaking method. The reason I don't call myself as an investor, because it's all about handshaking between both the parties. So if I have done something like 5 and you have 3, let us make it 53. So that's how we usually work.
Thank you.
I would just like to add something to, see,
thank you.
brick and mortar, see, if you see in India, the venture fund industry, 90% of the money comes from abroad. So only 10% money is Indian. That is increasing. Earlier it used to be 95% money. So the investor per se, the people who are taking decisions, they all have foreign bosses to whom they are answerable. So until and unless a business has got an international flavor, right, most VCs will not touch your business if it is brick and mortar and it is not having a size. So size is very important. So your unit economics has to be very good. For example, the same healthcare business, I'll tell you about one Bombay company. They provide healthcare workers for people with Parkinson's disease, right? They charge 1 lakh rupees per person. They pay 30,000 rupees to the person who is rendering the service. And they've got a back end where they train people to help Parkinson's patients, because Parkinson's is a very special disease. So the value addition that they do is so high, and they have built the engine from end to end. In the sense, in Bombay itself, there are 1,000 people who require for their parent, or elderly parent, to be taken care of, because husband and wife both work. So they want somebody for, to take care of their Parkinson's patient. So these type of models are brick and mortar models, but highly profitable, highly scalable, highly specialized. So you have to see, where you are going with this. If you are just doing a general thing, it's operationally very heavy, so nobody wants to invest in that.
Answer it. The unit cost is very good. For in a Bhubaneswar kind of city, Our unit cost is 80,000 rupees. In Bangalore, we are launching at 1.2 lakhs unit cost per month. We are not giving general services. As I told you, we are serving niche
No,
category.
I understand. But
So
what
unit
I'm
cost is
trying to
very
tell
good.
you is, until unless you can show that, on an individual basis, this is sustainable, profitable, and you can grow with the money that you are earning, nobody is interested. See, people who have brick and mortar business, I'll tell you about one company. They make 3.5 lakh momos a day, and they sell it all over the India. They make 1 rupee per momo. Now that company has got probably 10 crores in the bank, not funded. So when we go and tell them, why don't you get funded? They say, sir, humko darkar nahi hai. Right? That is the entrepreneur who typically gets funded or who wants, investors are chasing. Because he's a brick and mortar business, but totally built everything from his customers' money. So they are the businesses which really attract. So all of you don't look for investors, look for customers who can make you profitable. That is the first thing which I would advise all entrepreneurs, because funding is not the only aspect of your life. Funding is just an incidental thing. So don't go for funding and don't clap if people have got funding. Getting funding is good, but that is not the end goal in itself. Whereas entrepreneurs today think that if they've got funded, they've become successful. No, not at all. So please go back to your customers and look at the market and look at your product and make your product sharper.
Thank you so much.
Can I add? So there is a startup based out of Rajkot. They make I'm not sure what it called in Odia, but they make amazing chaat, papri chaat, and other small activities like ice cream chaat, different kind of flavor. They are making 2 rupees as a profit, and monthly sales is approximate I think 1.5 lakhs. And if you calculate that particular person, that business, what they are doing, they are scaling their ventures into completely tier 3 areas. And when they are growing, now their profit margin became really huge. And frankly speaking, I'll echo with Harida. When we approached them, they said, we are not looking for money. We're looking for scalability. Can you probably scale us up from these area to a particular different country altogether? So if you are in that genre, I think you're a winner. So again, I mean, don't look for money and don't chase money. It's always opposite. If you're doing something good, it is always opposite. Money chases you.
So, just to further, deep dive into what this panel is all about, most of them are members of angel fund houses like Mumbai Angel, Let's Venture, or Indian Angels for that matter. So the idea here is they not only will invest their first check, maybe these checks range from 5 lakhs to 1 crore, but they will be the lead investor and taking you to the further access of further money that you would be needing in future. So that's a quick perspective I want to make it here. So they are not only angel investor and write their own check, but they will also help startups to go to the next level of funding, right? And then these angel take you to the VCs and so on and so forth. So, typically asking about the check size, basically, what kind of check size you write and what has been your success, one of the best, successful startups if you would have worked with so far, exited, definitely would know the story and would inspire everybody.
Sure. So my personal check sizes vary from 5 to 25. Sivasis. I haven't had a phenomenal exit so far because the journey itself is about 3-4 years old. Some of the biggest checks I've written are in the space that I know best, which is SaaS in B2B space. Yours is one of them, Sivasis. And what was the other question you had?
In both are answered.
Right.
Size and exit.
Right. So, but some of the some of the startups where I decided to invest a larger check size were the ones where I understood the business. They had shown promise in terms of proof of success, getting the first revenues, or have had experience in global, going out of India and successfully securing revenues and winning clients from outside. So The check size varies depending on, after you pass the few gates, then it's all about, proof of success and the speed of scale. And of course, if it's a space that I understand well, it's an icing on the cake.
I have been working mostly through Indian Angel Network and through the private equity. So when you lead deals, you can take 20% of a deal as a lead. So typically our range for investment starts from 25 lakhs to 5 crores. So I would end up, anything from 5 lakhs to 25 lakhs in a single check for a investment that I lead. In terms of returns, exits, I think I'll first talk about write-offs. So when I used to write checks earlier, because at that time I was mostly an entrepreneur. So the day I write the check, I think this money is gone. So I had no expectation at all when I used to write checks earlier. So from that, my first investment, I led that investment and I got a 5x return for my investors. And the reason why we had to exit was, the company needed to go into manufacturing in order to scale. And I didn't have too much of experience in manufacturing per se. So I wanted somebody solid to come in. The person who came in, he said, boss, yes, I will come in. I like everything, but you have to ensure that all the investors exit. I will be the only investor in the cap table other than the founders. And that guy is a great guy. He sold his company for 2,500 crores, a first-time entrepreneur. So he had that requirement, because of which I convinced my investors to exit. There are some other companies which are absolutely mind-boggling in terms of their return. For example, there's a brand called Bauxite in Bombay. So when we first invested in Bauxite, we invested 25 lakhs at a post-money valuation of 2.5 crores. Just last year, Tiger offered us an exit at 2,500 crores enterprise valuation. So, Wow Momo is also something similar. Wow Momo is now valued at 2,500 crores. When we invested, my first term sheet to them was at 6 crores, but that investment didn't take place. Subsequent round, when Sanjay Bikhchandani came in, at that time the valuation was 100 crores. So that's also a 20x time. There's another company which came during COVID, a company called Planet Spark. We invested at probably a 10 crore valuation. Today they are at a 2,000 crore valuation. So this is the type of multiples you can really get from good entrepreneurs if you really back them up properly. So there are many other such stories, but I'll also tell you about some of the write-offs. So there are many entrepreneurs who sort of chicken out if they find a very bad state, right? So suddenly, Facebook increased their advertising revenues. So one of our e-commerce, the founders, they saw that their sales was dipping because they were not able to advertise more. So if you advertise more, you get more orders. But until unless you have economies of scale in terms of how much return you are getting from advertisements, if the advertising cost goes up, your business just goes down. So there is this company which was doing very well, but they shut down primarily because they couldn't afford the advertising anymore and their sales was dwindling. Though we said that, please, why don't you try? Why don't you do something else? But they wanted to go back to their comfortable job. So we see all types of founders, and founders who stay put. They are the founders who really will, really deliver substantial value. I'll give you one more example. In Bombay, there is a vegetarian pizza brand called Chiliza. During COVID, they were literally shut down. But the founder was so innovative, he thought, why should we, let's call all the people, their factory, you couldn't do anything, right? No movement, no orders, no delivery, no coming and other things. So they started serving food during COVID. And what started as a 5,000 rupee investment, went up to 1 crore of everyday khichdi, which was sponsored by other people. And today, Chiliza is valued at 100 crores, and I have led their investment just last quarter. So from a position of death, they came back with a lot of, energy, enthusiasm, and today they are backed up by everybody. In fact, the best people in the industry want to invest in that. So I will tell you that entrepreneurs are amazing. They can do anything that is possible. Only thing is, don't underestimate yourself.
So yeah, the ticket sizes are similar. I think we are all in the same game. Though I have burnt money with larger investments also. the experiences are similar. It's not that everything is a winner, but from your perspective, when you're looking at the investors, remember that most of the investors nowadays are people who have worked. They are not people who are, sitting there with pots of money trying to invest. They have actually worked. So they have people who have worked to earn the money. Now they want to deploy. And some investors understand your sector very well. If you talk about IT, of course, there are lots of sectors within IT, but then they understand your sector, so they might be willing to put in more money. And the other factor which determines what is the ticket size, that might be your other question. Will someone put in 5 lakhs? Will someone put in 25 lakhs? It is the appeal that they get from your pitch and your business plan. If they think you're going to, like, Hari was mentioning a few names. If they visualize that your business could grow up like this and you will need more money and your valuation will rise, that is when they will say, we want to invest. That is where you'll actually find that there are so many people coming in, you're actually going to refuse some people. That's a wonderful position to be in. And that oversubscription means that your story is so good that you're getting the oversubscription. For most of you, I think the difficulty might be, you are here in Bhubaneswar, you are not in Bengaluru where your neighbor is an investor. Here possibly you'll have to walk up a few streets to find an investor. How do you connect to investors? I think these kind of forum are a great idea. Or go with networks. There are networks that operate. Pitch to them. And there your pitch needs to be very good. I think that is when your next question would be, what is the ticket size? What is the amount I can raise? And will these people be patient? Will they come back again and invest later? Because raising capital is the biggest time that the entrepreneur spends. If he's going to day in and day out run a business, then who's going to get him the capital? Right?
Yeah. So as a structure, because our fund is completely different, so we start with $1 million, and it can go up to $10 million in a one single one-shot investment. Talking about what kind of investment that we have done so far, I can give you a small bit of understanding. One of the company, they save the banks from DDoS attacks. So that's one of our investment portfolio company. Then we have another company based out of US. They are building hovercraft mobile cover. So it's a patented technology which can detect you, understand, and this basically can relate to your voice command and follow you, just like a hover. It's basically meant for the people who are physically differently abled. So there are different kind of portfolio of our, you can say, stuff that we have done so far. I would put that that way. And the way we do it is like, if the appetite of investors and their business style is matching with the same similar kind of business that probably the investee companies are doing, we try to do such kind of matchmaking so that both of them can have a very family kind of understanding. So that's the way we operate. I forgot to mention that I'm founder of World Leaders Summit, which is approximate 97 countries network at the moment. And the way we usually take the pitching, if you really want to apply, you can go to www.coinnovateventures.com. There is a specific page. It will ask you for very specific question about your business, about yourself, more about your team. You can fill that form. There are team members who can get back to you, and definitely we can go for probably either an online call or maybe a direct call. Thank you.
So I'll again open the forum for the questions, open house, and we'll pick up some questions. I hope these are interesting. Yeah. Please grab a mic.
Hi, I'm Satya from Bonvi. We are building, drone or mobility solutions for goods and people transportation. Okay, so what we're building is, eVTOL aircrafts that can take 50 to 200 kilos of cargo now, and later we'll be venturing into aerial ambulance and people transportation. So company like this requires massive amount of capital, right? It's a hardware company, and immediately we are looking at sales-based model, and later maybe service-based model. Okay. So when you sit across with the investor and talk about value discovery for your company, right? Where maybe you have a present order of, say, 500,000 or 1 million, and then you're looking for, your projections is large because you're talking about, 50 hundreds of vehicles in next 1 or 2 years. But all these are projections only, okay? So when you talk about value discovery across the table with investors, my question is, how does the value discovery happens in that table? What do, as investors, what do you actually think? What are the parameters that you actually look at to discover the value? And what do you expect from the founders to really answer on that?
Even I will also ask the same question. Great. I mean, thanks to you for asking this.
I'll give you an answer that I know. I'm not saying this is the best answer. So what happens is when we are in this investment, mode, we get many co-investors. For example, a founder comes and says, sir, we've got a term sheet from a tier 1 VC, and this is our projection, this is our business model, and they have given us a term sheet for $2 million, right? So when I would look at that, I would say that, okay, this is absolutely bunkum. I don't agree with this at all, right? And they have given a valuation which is absolutely very fascinating to any founder, right? They have given a valuation. We are, at least I think, we are hardcore entrepreneurs. We understand what is value creation and what is value, right? So it's just not about valuation. So we are into value creation. So we don't mind backing up founders who are trying the impossible. But it has to be, they have to have their feet on the ground. So in many cases, we are totally not in agreement with what the VC and the founders have agreed. We say, yes, if you're getting a higher valuation, you go. But there are a lot of risks in that. What happens is, you raise at least a small amount of money at a very high valuation. The next round when you go, you are not able to defend your numbers. It's just not about one round of funding. It's about subsequent rounds of funding. You should be able to go forward with that. So when you can't defend your valuation, because you have not been able to perform or reach the numbers that you had promised, what happens is, most people ignore you. You have to come for a down round, or you have to compromise, or you have to do a bridge round where you cannot declare the value. So I would say that valuation is a fairly easy exercise depending on which space, which segment you are in. For example, I'll give you one company, which had come to us. Unfortunately, our team had rejected them because these guys were doing monitoring of foreign objects in the space. Monitoring 1 million objects in the space, that is their business, right? Now, what value can you give to this company? Right? They said, no, you are pre-revenue. Our team, which is typically comprised of, analysts and chartered accountants and many other, technical people from IAM and all these good institutions, they said, no, this is pre-revenue, we cannot invest. The same company I met, very recently, they got invested $2.5 million by Kalari, where they don't have any revenues. Now they're going to raise another $20 million. They don't have any revenue because what they're doing is something which is absolutely world-class and amazing, because they're going to monitor foreign objects. They're going to create a Google Maps for space so that no satellite can crash with those foreign objects. So what I'm saying is, in this type of situations, it is anybody's guess in terms of what would be the value, and people have to take a call on that. So in your case, drones are a very challenging, competitive space today.
Already competitive.
Very competitive. There are so many companies who've got a lot of work orders, from government, from many other people. But at the same time, there are very smart drone companies which get funded even today. 5 million, 10 million, they get funded today. Why? Because they're doing something which is very niche, and where they're able to show that there are private sector clients who are willing to put money on, in taking their service. So government, yes, government is very gung-ho about using drones for defense and many other applications. But until unless you have a proper use case which can be scaled and which is profitable in its own right, it is very difficult for you to compete with others in terms of funding. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Arijit, any input on this?
I think almost everything is covered by all the other panelists. The only line I would love to add is I'm not sure, instead of talking about valuation, probably I'll echo about creating value. And that's what actually happening worldwide. I would love to maybe take example of one of the company. So they started out of Lebanon, started a platform mainly for the sports people who are playing soccer ball. They created an augmented reality application which can detect, understand, and give them an understanding of how they can play better. Now, in this situation, if you talk to any traditional investor, it looks science fiction for some of them. And then proving that concept, the question usually comes that how the AI will actually detect and understand. So there is a understanding of complete different technology and vertical. They got funded after 2 years of hardcore, rigorous pitching. And they shifted their base from their country to Dubai. So if you look at these kind of situation, the success story is not about how much fund they have raised so far. The success story became success when they acquired approximately 35 different sports management companies as their client. So it's all about the way you are doing business and the way your future looks like and the way you are telling your story. So I'll highly recommend any one of you, if you really want to go for pitching, make it on a storytelling method. Yes. Don't go for a traditional way of what you are doing. Rather say that why you are doing. That makes sense.
Yes. I think most of the investors that first pitch, the moment of truth when they're pitching, that story is, I mean, they look forward for that compelling story why he's started this thing. Yeah, can we have the next question, please? Yeah, the gentleman in red shirt, red t-shirt.
Hello. Hi. I am actually Shakti from Fido. I handle complete operations at Fido. It's a hyperlocal discovery ad tech platform. It has like 1 lakh plus downloads on Play Store and is currently rated at 4.9. So basically my question was that most of the investors that we talk to, they say that your startup must be a painkiller. Not to us, but to any investor we approach, they say like startup must be a painkiller. And if given an option, what would you like to invest in? Like there are startups, one that is a painkiller, solves a problem, and the startup that brings some behavioral change, that bringing some behavioral change for the customers that they are addressing to, and they have some traction. So given these two options, what as investors would you choose to invest in?
Startups, I mean, painkiller or vitamins? Where you will invest?
My question was that.
You know, grabbing the mic to answer this question because, you know, if you look at the psychology of people, people buy because of pain, pleasure, or to get routine jobs done. For example, if you go to your house, your mother would employ a maid because it's a routine job which she pays a maid to do because her time is very valuable. So if you have a pain, you go to a doctor, and if you want to have pleasure, you buy an Apple iPhone. Right, you save money from everywhere or take money from anybody, and so buying is primarily an emotional behavior. So it depends on how powerfully, you know, your value proposition can attract a customer, whether it's buying for pain, buying for pleasure, or buying for routine jobs. So these are the three, you know, very simple answers I want to give you. So investors will back any of these as long as you can show that you can scale.
I think he's talking about again story. What's the story? Whether it's a pen, vitamin, doesn't matter. The story is compelling, they will come and back you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add to what both of you said, I think for me it's always about ROI, you know. What the customer will invest in you and what kind of return is he getting. So irrespective of whether it is pain or pleasure or you know, vitamins or whatever, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, somebody raised the hand there. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Abhishek Datta, and I am the founder of Exshare Private Limited. We are a biotech R&D-based startup developing a nano carrier.
Can you put your mic little?
Nano carrier to deliver chemotherapy drugs directly to the tumor cells, so which is very specific, and also it reduces chances of tumor relapse and metastasis, which is the main cause of death in cancer patients. So the thing is that we have been funded by the Big Biotech grant, and we are presently working on the POC model. So I was asking at what time should we look for private investors to invest in our company? Because we have talked to a few of the investors and they said that we are very early stage to look for investment. So we have to go through long process of preclinical trials, then the phase 1 trials will begin. So at what point should we look for a private investor to come in?
Yeah, please.
So I have interacted recently with a gentleman who's in trying to do what you are doing. He's worked overseas. Kindly sit. He's worked overseas and has great credentials. I find the best way is to tie up with a hospital or an institute locally that is engaged in your field. Whatever you are doing, while people might recognize you if you have great credentials, but when there is an institution that is there along with you, not necessarily as a financial partner, but even as a knowledge partner, or they lend their facilities for you to test, for example. So that is a great way to make the progress initial stages. And the other thing to do is to, because of the field that you have chosen, to get a doctor or someone who's an expert in your field to come on board as an advisor, at least to start with. You may not need the money right away, but clearly to convince him to put in some money, even though it might be a very small amount. Because, for example, he came to a bunch of us, friends, and said, we are looking for your money and I have got this great solution, and he sent a presentation and so on. We were floored because we understood nothing. Well, I don't understand a thing about medical treatment. Forget about cancer treatment. So while all that is there, how do I as an investor look at it? I will look at it if it is already a success, but then his valuation might be very high, right? And that might not interest me. And if I want to commit at a lower valuation, I will need someone to be there to provide the vote of confidence that this is a good thing that is happening and we are there along with it. So in specialized fields, it is very useful to have a partner, an advisor, or an early investor.
See, I would tell you that you should interact with investors. Whether, you should be ready to face 99.99% rejection. But investors teach you a lot. They point you to other people. For example, if you come to me, I am a EV sector fund, I'll tell you, no, we only do EV, but this guy does cancer and drug discovery. You go to him. So you should engage with investors at the earliest stage, knowing very well that you are not qualified or your investment readiness score is very poor at this point of time. Because investors are always on top in terms of seeing so many companies. So they can point you to the right place, or they can tell you, hey, but this guy is doing the same thing and they failed in doing this. So it may help you to change your business or your direction itself. So engaging with investors early, especially in these type of fields, is very important. And I know some companies which have done cancer research platforms, they have engaged with their investors for over 2 years before they got their first funding. So typically a fund would engage with a founder for almost 1 year before they commit their investment. So it's good to engage with investors early.
So I want little input from our veteran charter member here, Dr. Roth, who runs a cancer hospital. Can I have a mic for him, please?
I'd like to add something very quickly.
No, actually, the topic is on cancer, and actually the problem what you're, actually it's a billion-dollar industry. The problem what you are trying to address is not just another small problem. See, the last 100 years of cancer research is still asking the question which you are asking. Why a cancer spreads from one part of the body to other part, and why some drugs respond and why some drugs doesn't respond. The core of that is the answer what you are looking for. I wish I had an app which can answer that. I wish I had the answers to that. So that's why it's a problem is not something as simple as just looking for investors. There are so many precursors to that, and the R&D today, what is going on in the other parts of the world, you see, you are looking only at its spreading. We are looking into much deeper things, like genetically how many generations it takes for a cancer in a particular ethnic community to spread from one generation to the other. If you ask a simple question, is cancer genetic? The answer is no. Is cancer hereditary? The answer is no. Similarly, can my lung cancer spread into my brain? The answer is no. But then, many a times it happens, which is looking for the answer. So it's not as simple as the investors can answer it. The science behind it has to be brought into your platform. So hiding the complexity of these answers is the problem. And okay, hope I got it.
Just to add to what
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Rath mentioned and what Sridhar and Hari mentioned. I invested early on in a company which was into diagnosing cancer using computer vision, AI, and all of that. They decided this is the cancer I will detect. This is how I'll do it. This is my credential, why I will, So we invested. My experience, and I'm not giving you advice, I'm just sharing my experience. My experience and my learning from that is I shouldn't have invested in 2019 in that company. I should have waited for some revenues to be generated to figure out how would he, make money out of that idea and expertise and R&D, and then probably would have been better for me to invest. They've not grown in valuation. They're struggling to sell. They're trying all kinds of things. They're getting awarded every day, every month. They're getting 1 or 2 awards. But so to your question, when should you approach a private investor? If you want to be successful with private investment, please show them how you will make money out of this. That's when you come to private investor. Otherwise, I think it's government grants and other large funds which can, wait for years for you to solve the problem and start making money.
Yeah, Arijit, your point.
Quick input. Am I audible to you? Yeah. There is an organization called the Future of Medicine based out of US. Probably you can explore that. If you need an introduction, feel free to send me a message. I'm available in LinkedIn. Just put my name over there. I'll do a soft introduction with those guys. I think you will get lot many good inputs and lot many, I think, people who have done massive works in the world. Yeah, you need that. Yeah.
I think I have time for just one more question. Yeah, sir.
Sir, I'm Pradipta Kumar Panigrahi. I represent Carbon Out. Carbon Out is basically a startup unit focusing on sustainability by making pivot tile blocks from recycled plastics and putting it on the floor, which is on the roads, which is illuminated one, powered through solar energy, and yet it is with Wi-Fi enabled. It can have 5G networks running through this. And so the entire roads of our country can be made with these pivot tile blocks. And vehicles can also run over it without damaging it. The curbstones can also be made so that it is illuminated, and the last point of connectivity to the bottom line can also be made. So, sir, my point of is we are set up in Odisha with Electropreneur Park under STPI and registered unit of Startup Odisha. We got selected in Fund 2.0 and also represented in Dubai Zytex. So, sir, my point is we have developed the product. The product needs to see the global market, and where actually the capability we have on the technology needs to be also upgraded. At the same time, the connectivity through the networks which you have has to be done. So collective support in terms of management, in terms of looking in your point of view towards making money, and our point of things is needed. That is what most of the startups also need. So my point is, sir, putting the government funds which is being provided by banks also is a point which many startups can also avail. But having these funds from governments and telling you that we require these funds is none of the way it is being accepted in many of the cases. So we want a mentoring to take the government funds as well as your funds to scale it up to a largest level so that the enterprise can be more sustainable. So my point is how you will support a startup to go global and on the board in a very integrated way so that it succeeds in a long term, at least in a 5-period term.
First, I think, at least for me, I can say that as an investor, I'm defined as a selfish guy. If you do not have revenues right now, or you are right now not profitable, kindly sit, profitable, I would not look at you. Or taking up this goal of ESG or some such thing and trying to say that I will do this for the entire human race on this planet, that's not something that drives me. There are other people who would be interested in that. The best bet for you would be to sort of go to such bodies like, you know, the renewables energy, for example, the alternate fuels, for example, to tie up with such people and be able to do the technology demonstration and maybe proof of concept, and to actually showcase your product in one place rather than across the world, because you do not have enough resources for it. And through that, there are obviously funds available with various government departments for some of these things. Get those funds and then scale up slowly locally before you try and address something that is in larger geography. That's my...
See, I think, you know, for things, you have to look at investment or any type of money as an additional resource that you require, like people and equipment or office space and things like that. So there are a number of ways for getting funding. Today, Government of India has come up with very aggressive schemes where any entrepreneur who's got an idea which is bold, which has got a high risk profile, they are willing to fund. There are the Startup India Seed Fund scheme is there, where up to 50 lakhs you can straight away get if you have got a good project and you come through one of their accredited institutions. There are several technology incubators, you know, across the country who have all got funded by the government, and they can help you. In fact, they are always looking for good companies who can be incubated. So it is just not that investors are the only option for you to get money. There are plenty of government schemes, state government schemes, central government schemes, and corporate schemes which are available for you to get funded for any project which a private investor like, you know, Sridhar will not touch, right? So don't worry about getting, you know, funding. Funding is available plentifully today in India. You have to know who to approach for the funding. For example, if with your ESG project, if you come to Sridhar or to me or to somebody else, we may say, boss, we are not interested. But if you go to ONGC, their CSR fund, they may be able to give you money. So there are so many corporates who are putting money into startups which can actually help them with their carbon credits, which can help them with their own business. So there is plenty of opportunity. All you need to do is, you know, look for information and find out who can open the door for you. So none of you need to worry that you are in Bhubaneswar or you are in some village in Orissa. Today the world is open, India is open, India is willing to support entrepreneurs at the grassroots level, and there are plenty of state government and central government schemes to help you realize your dream.
Yeah, I would love to add a couple of things in this regards. To be very honest, in 2020, if you are saying that we can't find investor, I'm shocked. Truly, I'm shocked. I can give you multiple names, Seed Stars, if you look at them. They are the biggest European acceleration and investment body. I'm there in their board. If you need any kind of introduction, can be done. IIDF, that's the largest fund based out of Russia. So there are multiple number of investment bodies, there are multiple number of corporates, multiple number of schemes which is available. I think the gap is like all of you are probably running to raise capital instead of a particular focus where you want to go. I'm sorry about this statement. When you say that you want to grow globally, do you have any particular country in your mind? Say for an example, if you want to go to the MENA region or I want to go towards the Balkan countries, each and every country there are royal families, PE, VC fund, everything is available. All you need to do, you need to create a proper roadmap for your company which can give them an understanding, okay, fine, after growing from India to, say, for example, maybe in Thailand, they want to grow towards Malaysia. And the reason we are doing this, X reason. And the way we are going to give the ROI is this way. So if this roadmap is clear, I don't see that there is a gap. If you are sitting in maybe far village and you have only an internet connectivity, a pretty easy way to connect a person. I'm not promoting the platform, but the best way is go to LinkedIn, try to find out who is who, understand their track record, try to send them a soft message. Don't ask for an investment initially. Understand them, talk to them, learn from them first. And then approach them, I want to grow. What would you suggest? Eventually, people like us all are sitting in this platform would love to help. And that's the reason I said that I don't call myself investor, even though I invested in multiple number of companies. I don't call myself an investor. Rather, I call myself as a catalyst. We all like this. If you ask them offline, all of them will tell you a different story altogether. They are not only investing money, they are investing their network, their strength, their knowledge, which is the biggest asset for your company. Look for that instead of running behind money for all the investors.
So I think we would conclude this, and I'd love to have one line concluding remark from each one of you. Let's start with Himanshu, and just one concluding remark.
See, I think, one line to conclude, I think I truly admire, startup founders and entrepreneurs. I think it's been said enough times during the day also. Perseverance, grit is the underlying quality, that makes you a founder. Don't quit. Don't give up. Continue in your entrepreneur journey. Network a lot. Talk to a lot of people, as many as you can, and learn. How you can take that learning into your business. But don't quit. Please don't. You're doing an awesome job. Whatever you're doing, it's amazing. Continue.
See, I would say that startups are all about discovering business models. So you have to discover your business model. The second thing is, startups always operate on a consistent environment of uncertainty. So everything about your business is uncertain. If you are so comfortable, if you're certain, then you are not a startup anymore. So I would say that uncertainty is the name of the game, and discovering your business model is the core driver for you. And the third most important thing that I would like to say is, don't quit. Until unless you fail 9,999 times, you will not succeed once. And that's what I think, Thomas Alva Edison or somebody said. So you really need to be at it. And the most important thing is, it's a marathon. It's not a 2020 match. It's a 10-day test match. So you have to really be looking at the long-term journey and enjoy the journey. There are lots of ups and downs, but it's an adventure, and you must enjoy it. If you enjoy it, nobody can stop you.
Start at the origin. If you have already picked up an idea, think about it, whether it's good enough. If you're not able to make progress, figure out what's lacking. I think most people try to push the same stuff that they were doing, saying it is the best. You might need to pivot sometimes. You might need to make some changes, or you might need to give up that and take up something else. I think what defines you is the entrepreneurial spirit, the fact that you decided to turn a businessman. So with that, it could be not just product A, it could be product B, product C. Pick the right one and make the best of it, and learn how to do the storytelling. That is what will get you investors.
Well, in my opinion, entrepreneurship is all about riding a tiger. So when you start your entrepreneurial life, you adopt it as a cub. You're feeding it with milk with the intention that in future it will grow big and you will ride on the top of it. And now it is asking for meat, and that meat is money. So it's all about the learning curve, how much money you want to feed it so that it doesn't become slow, or it is hungry so that it can eventually kill you. So it's a thriving journey. Whenever you start a venture, it usually goes out of passion. In my opinion, there is a sweet difference between a hardcore traditional business person and an entrepreneur. Usually entrepreneurs drive out of passion. But when you are running it, there is a very simple way of understanding the art and science of managing the money. And I would love to recommend one thing. When you start your journey, create a great team. That makes sense. If you're not raising money, if you have a great team, that can build an amazing company, and you will cherish that journey. It doesn't matter if you are not becoming probably billionaires of the world. It doesn't matter. End of the day, if you are happy, if your people are happy, if your consumers are happy, your employees are happy, your team is smiling at you, And their eyes are saying that we have done something great, you are doing great. So keep doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely these wonderful investors are around with us for the entire day. But I would again like to introduce Sunil sir here. A big round of applause for him. Debes sir, Aishkant, Anada, then Tapan and Sanu Bhai is also here. So they are also around. Can we have a quick, so that everybody can see you, a quick stand up or something? So they are also here, and they are one of finest mentors we have, and investors as well. So see, my takeaway, always has been talk to as many as investors as possible. If they do not give you money, at least they will criticize you, and from there, your pivoting, your idea will be more sharpened. So if not money, you are definitely getting a lot of wisdom from them. So no investor pitch is going in vain, right? So talk to them, be rejected. Like let you be rejected for 90 times, and that 10 times will give you the that money you need. Thank you so much, and I would like to invite Sulagna to do the conclusive.
Check. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for adding so much positivity and enlightenment to this day. Can we have a round of applause for all panelists and the moderator? It's so rare when we get to meet the top investors of the country together under one platform, sharing their thoughts, insights. Thank you very much. May I request would like to acknowledge the presence of Chairman OFDC, Shri Kunal Tripathi ji. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. Your presence means a lot to TiE Bhubaneswar. And may I request Charter Member TiE, Shri Tapan Mohanty, to please join us on stage and present token of gratitude to Shri Himanshu Goel and Shri Hari Bala Subramaniam ji. Sir, may we please have you on stage. It's a ritual at TiE Bhubaneswar to present tokens of love to special guests. And we have the dream investors of the country here on stage. We cannot miss the opportunity to say big thank you through this small token of love and gratitude. Thank you, Shri Goel, for those golden words that will be remembered and learned from. And may I request Shri Mohanty to present a small token of gratitude to Shri Hari Balasubramaniam. Thank you, Shri Balasubramaniam. Those stories were so inspiring. Thank you, Shri Mohanty, for doing the honor. May I request another very special member of TiE family, our charter member, Shri Satyabrat Rathod, to please join us on stage and present token of love to Shri Sridhar Ralabandi and Shri Arijit Bhattacharya. Sharing their journey as the investors definitely made the entrepreneurs realize that if they have spark, that's being noticed by the investors. Thank you, Shri Sridhar. Thank you, Shri Arijit, for those wonderful words of encouragement and positivity. Thank you, Shri Ratha, for doing the honor. And can we also have a round of applause for the moderator, Shri Mishra, for so wonderfully moderating the session. And thank you, House, for those pertinent questions that speaks about the enthusiasm of the entrepreneurs. With this, we wind up this session. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'd like to give the highlights of some very special post-lunch events. We'll hear from Honorable Member of Parliament, thought leader, Dr. Achyut Samant. His story is something we all have learned from, but to hear from him will be a great experience. There'll be a networking lunch, and you can have a one-on-one with your personal favorite investors here, and then some of the very successful startups will be given an opportunity to come on stage and share their stories. So I'll request all the members, the delegates, to stay back post-lunch and learn as much as possible. Thank you.